Hey, welcome. If it's your first time visiting, welcome. And if you're a return visitor, welcome back. I'm Debbie, and I talk about gadolinium, gadolinium-based contrast agents, gadolinium toxicity, gadolinium deposition and toxicity, anything related to gadolinium. So what's gadolinium? Gadolinium is a toxic rare earth metal. It's used in medical diagnostics for MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, and it is a toxic rare earth metal. It's wrapped in a ligand intended to make it safe, but as we've learned over the years, the product's been out for about 30 years now, so we've learned a lot, gathered a lot of data, and we know that it is problematic, and it is retained in everyone. It's retained in your brain, your bones, your tissue, and your organs, which I say in every episode. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm a patient on a journey, a healing journey. I've got so many things going on inside my body that never were there before. I started having these MRIs with contrast injections, of which I had 4. 8 years out, it's still in my blood serum, in my hair, in my fingernails, and in my urine. So it's real, and I'm not the only one. We're getting hundreds of new members every single month coming to the support group saying, what's going on with me? I'm sick. I have new and worsening symptoms that I never had before I got in the MRI machine and had my first injection of contrast in. I just want to help figure it out, and I want to know what's going on in my body. So this report, let's talk about this report really quick. This report is a report that was published out of the University of New Mexico in August of 2024. The name of the report is The Safety of Magnetic Resonance Imaging Contrast Agents. I would love for everyone who is watching this to print a copy, go out, read it, print it, take it to your doctor appointment, have them read it, be curious. Let's open the dialogue and start to understand what's going on and how heavy metals may or may not be impacting our health. We know, it's kind of fun, this report calls out how we know that lead and mercury cause health problems. And you never see lead and mercury reports, including gadolinium. But I love the fact that we're doing some cross-talking now about the different metals and the impacts of heavy metals on the human body. So this report's about gadolinium, but it does call out lead and it does call out mercury. And they talk about that in this report. So great job. To the University of New Mexico. This is a great report, and I just want everyone to go out and read it. One of the things the report talks about is that we knew that NSF was the original diagnosis for health issues related to gadolinium. That was thought to be only when you had bad kidneys. We now know that no longer holds true, that kidney function doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're going to have a reaction and or problems after a gadolinium-based contrast agent. This report talks a lot about the fibrosis. It also outlines the ICD-10 billing codes, which were released in 2023, and we hopefully have more ICD-10 billing codes narrowing in on different diagnoses. And those are helpful in the sense that ICD-10 billing codes is what your doctor will use to bill your insurance company. So take this paper to them, show it to them. They can see the ICD-10 billing codes. And then if they're billing that, then we can look for trends because the FDA picks up on these ICD-10 billing codes. They start to see more and more, issues. In 2007, after NSF came out, they did go back and the FDA did say, hey, there's a problem here. We need to put a box warning on this agent, this contrast agent. And they did do that. Since then, they haven't really done a whole lot of updates, but now we have the ICD-10 billing codes, so we can report, we can learn more, and it will also help researchers like Dr. Wagner and some other teams to know where to start looking more in depth about various health issues, right? And as the researchers pick up on these ICD-10 billing codes and seeing trends, they'll know where to look next to try and help humanity in fixing this problem if you're one of the patients impacted. So talks about that, talks about it's neurotoxic. It talks about the fact that in 2023, Wagner's team and the University of New Mexico was actually able to see the nanoparticles, gadolinium nanoparticles in the kidneys. And that was quite the finding because they're like, we've discovered that gadolinium is leached from this pharmaceutical ligands and amalgamated into nanoparticles. So it talks about that. That was a big win and a big find. And that just proved that it's not inert, and that there is a causality of iatrogenic systemic fibrosis with magnetic resonance imaging contrast agents is now disputable with patients with acute chronic kidney insufficiency. But it also goes on further to talk about that the kidneys you don't have to have a kidney injury to be impacted. The kidney function used to be the only reason we thought that the disease was occurring. Now we know that's not true. Anyway, I kind of botched that description up, didn't I? The thing about this is it is systemic fibrosis. They go on to talk about it, that it's not just with the kidneys, that you can do biopsies and you see, and I'm not suggesting people run out and do biopsies, because that's an invasive procedure, and it's a hit and miss depending on where they do the biopsy. You might pick up some gadolinium and you might not. So please don't run out and start doing that. That's crazy. But the report does have the VARS database and how we're looking at the various disorders, right? And skin and subcutaneous tissue disorders is the number one thing. So fibrosis and, tissue disorders, that's a big deal, with gadolinium being retained in the tissue. Anyway, they downloaded the VARS database by product, because there's several different versions. There's a macrocyclic and a linear, and lots of different brands out there. So this one graph in this article shows all of the different disorders, and I'm just going to read a few. We already talked about the skin disorders. Then there's gastrointestinal, there's nervous system disorders, respiratory, muscular, skeletal, there's psychiatric, immune, vascular, eye, cardiac, which I just got 3 new cardiac diagnoses this year. And I think it's related to fibrosis, because the year before they found fibrosis going on in my lungs, which goes to the top one on the list from being reported into the VARS database. Cardiac, infections, renal, urinary, metabolism, nutrition, eye, social circumstances, surgical and medical procedures, blood and lymphatic systems. So there's a whole list: cysts, polyps, all kinds of things, breast disorders, reproductive system, the endocrine system. So all those are listed in a nice graph that you can look at, and then you can think about it. And that's the thing about this report, is different people are going to resonate with it differently, and that's why it's such a great report, because it covers such a large broad spectrum of different things. And so depending on your wellness journey and where you're at and what symptoms you might be dealing with and talking to your doctor about, if you've had an MRI with contrast, there may be like some connecting of the dots and questions and more open dialogue that's needed to be had. And this facilitates that. This paper facilitates that open dialogue, because it does ask those questions as you connect the dots. And what resonates with me will resonate differently with you, because your symptoms are different, and even the bodily systems that are impacted could be different. Mine started with pancreatitis, now it's in the brain, and now it's in my heart. So I don't know, we're figuring it out, right? It's taken a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of money, and most of the things with gadolinium have been out of pocket, because the medical community hasn't really recognized it or had time to dive in. And so we as patients can be very helpful to open that dialogue and encourage our doctors to be curious and learn more, right? So like I said, you're going to pick up on different kinds of terminology in this paper that are specific to your situation, but will create new dialogue and reasons for everyone to be curious. That's why it's a great article. I'm so excited about it. We're getting ready to launch another country has reached out to us, or we've been talking to them, and they're wanting to do similar work for research for their patients. And so we're launching that project. So we're gaining some headway, guys, to this a lot of unknowns about gadolinium based contrast agent, and we're learning a lot. And you as a patient can help us if you've had a gadolinium based contrast agent injection with the MRI diagnostic tool. And it's a great tool, right? It allows us to see inside the body, but it's also causing some problems that we need to be aware of and talk more about. So that's how we'll figure this out. So get out there, take ownership for your health, and ask questions, be curious, know that this is a problematic agent and we need to learn more, and you can be part of the solution by helping us figure out the puzzle. I will post the link to the study that's going on at the University of New Mexico. If you're able to travel and you can travel, we would love to have you. And I say we because I'm a patient that's been severely impacted, and I'm also an admin, one admin, and a lot of admins in our group of a growing community, hundreds of new patients coming every single month saying what's going on with my health. So we need to figure it out. Be curious. May your journey be one of wellness always. Know what you choose to inject, ingest, inhale, and even put on your skin, because it does matter. We're living in a toxic world. And this paper even talks about seed oils. So if you haven't had an MRI, but you're curious, it talks about the seed oils and how those cause inflammation. It talks about the myeloid memory, and that's the innate immune system response when the body sees a foreigner. And they're using this a lot in cancer research right now. But myeloid memory is because the body sees a foreigner and it's trying to figure out what to do with it, and it's sending its monocytes and its macrophages and all these things to say, hey, what's this foreigner? What am I going to do about it? But myeloid memory, and they're doing a lot of research on it, is the body recognizes, I've seen this foreigner before. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to help my human stay healthy and upright and moving and not be down for the count, right? So a lot of good information in this paper. Please go out and read it. Please share it with your friends, your doctors. Let's open the dialogue. Let's figure this out. May your journey be one of wellness always. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.